done by people that do it for a living. We had an exact transcript. And when we produced that transcript, they died. Because you look at the whistleblower statement, and it's vicious. Vicious. And that whistleblower, there's no question in my mind that some bad things have gone on, and I think we'll get to the bottom of it. I think it's going to be a total reversal. But I've lived with this. I've lived with this cloud now for almost 3 years. More than that, because it probably started even before. And I think nobody has done what I've done when you look at tax cuts and regulation cuts and rebuilding our military and right to try. That means people that are terminally ill and very sick have the right to use our medicines, our great medicines, because we're so far ahead of every other country. So many things that we've done. Our vets are now taken care of. We got choice. Nobody thought we could ever get choice. That's when you have to wait online as a vet. You go outside, you get a doctor, we pay the bill. You don't have to wait for 3 weeks to see a doctor if you're a vet. We cherish our vets. At least this administration does, but for many years they didn't. But I take care of the vets. No administration has done, and I've lived with it from the day I got elected. So I'm just fine with it, okay? Please.
Yes, we had a conversation and discussion on a very equal basis, which is, I really appreciate that. Well, I had one request specifically. I wanted the President to take more notice on transatlantic relations, because I consider it's useful both for USA and Europe. Well, we were discussing also trading. I told the President that the big purchase we are doing on fighters will be finished in 2 years' time. We have 5 different candidates, 3 from Europe and 2 from United States. He answered that ours is best.
Jeff, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Jeff Mason from Reuters. Mr. President, I'd like to ask you about your use of the word treason. You've used it repeatedly in the last few days. Do you consider anyone who opposes you treasonous?
No, I consider when they lie, when they stand before our great body in our great chamber, and they make up a story that's fiction, like Schiff did. He took that perfect conversation I had with the Ukrainian president, and he made it into a total lie. It was a total fabrication. And you do admit that. It was a total fabrication. He said this is what, and the only ones that don't like my conversation are the ones that never read it, but they heard Shifty Schiff. That's what I call a lie. And because of the fact that he's lying about the President of the United States and as to what the President says. You know, I believe it or not, I watch my words very carefully. There are those that think I'm a very stable genius, okay? I watch my words very, very closely. And to have somebody get up and to totally fabricate a conversation that I had with another leader and make it sound so bad, it was so evil. And now I see this that just came out minutes ago, where he met at a time that was impossible to have done unless there's corruption involved. And just so you know, we've been investigating on a personal basis through Rudy and others, lawyers, corruption in the 2016 election. We've been investigating corruption because I probably will, I was going to definitely, but I probably will be bringing in a lot of litigation against a lot of people having to do with the corrupt investigation, having to do with the 2016 election.
For example.
And I have every right to do that because the way they've treated me and other people, they've destroyed people, they've destroyed their lives with a phony charge that never existed, and that was collusion, never existed. And you had 18 people that hated Donald Trump. And you had Bob Mueller that hated Donald Trump. And in the end, they couldn't find one damn thing. I could find it on you. They couldn't find one thing about Donald Trump having to do with collusion. This is after 2 years and spending $42 million. And I've been looking at that long and hard for a long period of time. How it started, why it started. It should never happen to another president, ever. But I've been talking about it from the standpoint of bringing a major lawsuit, and I've been talking about it for a long time. We've been investigating the corruption having to do with what they did to my people. They destroyed many people. They came down to Washington to do a great job, and they left home. They left Washington dark. They were dark. They came down here, I say bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. They wanted to do a great job for the people. They wanted to do a great job. We won the election. And then they get served with subpoenas, all these subpoenas. Now look at Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi hands out subpoenas like, she has to approve it. She hands out subpoenas like they're cookies. You want a subpoena? Here you go, take them like they're cookies. Paul Ryan would never give anybody a subpoena. He wouldn't give them when Mark Meadows went in to talk. He wouldn't give them when Jim Jordan went in, when Devin Nunes. He would go in and they'd see Paul. I'm not saying wrong or right. But Paul Ryan, no, let's talk about it. That's a big thing to give a subpoena. Let's talk about it. 2 weeks later, they're still talking. They wanted subpoenas to investigate the corrupt Democrats and the corrupt people on the other side. Paul Ryan would not give subpoenas. Nancy Pelosi, here you go. Take it. Who wants a subpoena? Every day you get subpoenas. And Paul Ryan was actually right, probably, because they should never, ever allow a thing like this to happen to our country again. Thank you very much, please.
Mr. President, can you just make clear right here, what do you or what did you want President Zelensky to do with regard to Joe and Hunter Biden?
If you look at what he said, okay, and he brought it up. I think he brought up the name Rudy Giuliani. What I want is the following. And I've said this loud and clear. We have our ambassadors here. We have Mike Pence here. Why are we the only ones that give the big money to the Ukraine? We give money to Ukraine. And it's bothered me from day one. And you have plenty of people just here. I say, how come it's always the United States that gets ripped? Frankly, Ukraine, we want to help them. And I do like the new president. You know why I like him? Because he was honest. Because he said there was no pressure at all exerted on me, meaning him, by the President of the United States. He said it. By the way, that one sentence should stop this. But he said there was no pressure exerted. But you don't have to ask him. All you have to do is read the transcript, read the telephone call. But what I was having a problem with are two things. Number one, Ukraine is known before him for tremendous corruption. Tremendous. More than just about any country in the world. In fact, they're rated one of the most corrupt countries in the world. And I don't like giving money to a country that's that corrupt. Number two.
You don't like giving money.
Excuse me. Number two, I said the following. And I said this loud and clear to everybody. And in fact, Rob Portman backed me up, and there's nobody more honorable than Rob Portman of Ohio. Because he called up, please let the money go. I said, Rob, I hate being the country that's always giving money. When Ukraine helps Europe and the European countries far more than they help us. They're like a wall between Russia and Europe. They're like a wall. They're a big, wide, beautiful wall. And he said, you know what, but it's important. And in fact, he came out and he said that. That was my only reason. Because I don't like being the sucker country. We were the sucker country for years and years. We're not the sucker country anymore. But I gave the money because Rob Portman and others called me and asked. But I don't like to be the sucker. And European countries are helped far more than we are. And those countries should pay more to help Ukraine. Ask a question, please.
Thank you, sir.
What about Mr. Biden? What did you want about Biden? What did you want him to look into on Biden?
Look, Biden and his son are stone cold crooked, and you know it. His son walks out with millions of dollars. The kid knows nothing. You know it, and so do we. Go ahead, ask a question.
But the question, sir, was what did you want President Zelensky to do about Vice President Biden and his son Hunter?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, it was just a follow-up of what I just asked you, sir.
Listen, you ready? We have the president of Finland. Ask him a question.
I have one for him. I just wanted to follow up on the one that I asked you, which
Did
was,
you hear
what
me?
did you want
Did you
him
hear
to
me?
Yes,
Ask
sir.
him a question.
I will, but
I've given you a long answer. Ask this gentleman a question. Don't be rude.
No, sir, I don't want to be rude. I just wanted you to have a chance to answer the question that I asked
I've
you.
answered everything. It's a whole hoax. And you know who's playing into the hoax? People like you and the fake news media that we have in this country. And I say in many cases, the corrupt media, because you're corrupt. Much of the media in this country is not just fake, it's corrupt. And you have some very fine people, too. Great journalists, great reporters. But to a large extent, it's corrupt and it's fake. Ask the president of Finland a question, please.
Okay, I'll move on now. Mr. President, in your opening remarks, you said to President Trump that you had been to some museums today and that you respected the U.S. democracy and encouraged him to continue it. Are you concerned that that's not happening? And my second question to you, sir, is the WTO ruled today in favor of the United States, saying that the United States can now impose tariffs on European goods because of illegal subsidies against Airbus.
It was a big win for the United States, right?
It wasn't.
You never had wins with other presidents, did you? But we're having a lot of wins at the WTO
this was
since
a
I
case
became
that started, I think, 10 or 15 years ago.
Okay.
But
excuse me. Your wins are now because they think I don't like the WTO and they want to make sure I'm happy because all of those countries were ripping off the United States for many years. They know that I'm wise to it. We've had a lot of wins. This was a $7 billion win. Not bad.
But I think the question is for
So
me.
the question, sir, is if you're concerned that the president will impose those tariffs and the effect that that may have on the economy.
Yes, first of all, when I refer to your democracy, I just wanted to tell that I'm impressed what American people have gained during these decades, hundreds of years, building up a very impressive democracy. So keep it going on. To WTO, I have a lot of respect to multilateralism and to international institutions. So WTO has given now a decision which is, well, quite tough with Europe. But I just say that the WTO has said its opinion, and that's that.
And I just want to finish by saying it's an honor to be with the president of Finland. He's done a fantastic job, very popular, beloved over in Finland. The WTO has been much better to us since I've been president because they understand they can't get away with what they've been getting away with for so many years, which is ripping off the United States. And please remember the president's last remarks, that we are a great democracy. We are the United States is a great democracy. And I'm airing what I'm airing because we are, in fact, a democracy. And if the press were straight and honest and forthright and tough, we would be a far greater nation. We would be a far greater when we don't have the CNNs of the world who are corrupt people. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yep.
Welcome to a special edition of The Lead, White House in Crisis, and you just saw there a president in clear crisis. I'm Jake Tapper. We have some breaking news. President Trump just now said that he will cooperate with House Democrats in their impeachment inquiry. They are warning the White House they will subpoena the White House for documents on Friday. We should note that the president also called the impeachment inquiry the greatest hoax, and he called it a fraudulent crime. So you can take his expression of willingness to cooperate as you will. President Trump also just accused Congressman Adam Schiff, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, a Democrat from California, of helping to write the whistleblower complaint. We should point out that one of the whistleblower's lawyers who I just contacted, I just asked him, is there any truth that Schiff or the committee helped the whistleblower write the complaint in any way? And the lawyer said, quote, absolutely not. That was a response to a New York Times story on how the whistleblower had reached out to Congressman Schiff before filing the complaint. There's a lot that the president just said. I could spend probably about an hour and a half fact checking it. Let me just make a couple notes. In addition to the accusation that Schiff helped the whistleblower write the complaint, which the whistleblower's lawyer said absolutely not. There's no truth to that. The president also said that, quote, Biden and his son are stone cold crooked. We should note the Ukrainian prosecutor has said that he has seen no evidence that Hunter Biden, the former vice president's son, did anything wrong, and there is no evidence that former Vice President Joe Biden did anything wrong, but the president keeps making this charge over and over. There are some other less incendiary things the president said, such as the fact that the U.S. gives money to the Ukraine and nobody from Europe does. In actuality, the European Union gives much more money to Ukraine than the United States does, though the United States certainly contributes quite a bit. I could go on, but we only have a couple hours here. So let's talk about some of the issues that the president just brought up. First of all, let's run the tape, the quote from when President Trump was asked if he's going to cooperate with these subpoenas from the House committees investigating during this impeachment inquiry.
Well, I always cooperate. This is a hoax. This is the greatest hoax. This is just a continuation of what's been playing out